Welcome back to the tomb of EL-lumination, where everything's about the flat earth here, the physics involved with the flat earth, how it works, the whole model that cannot be debunked. And if you start to understand it clearly, you can out-debate anybody with a globe discussion regarding the globe. They create their model through mathematics and delusional concepts, but the flat earth model can be explained through observable facts and referring back to any ancient story or philosophies. It's in religion, it's fully described, and it all adds up, it all equates. Like you add all the puzzles together, you get the whole picture, when the globe is just all make-believe based on figures and just scientific rubbish to confuse the average person, to steer them away from understanding the truth. I've done a video earlier, it could be on my Patreon, but it's in regards to why they lie. One of the main reasons they lie about the spinning ball is to keep the free energy under their control. Once you understand the flat earth model, you start understanding where all the free energy is. And it's finally come to light now. Well, it's come to light due to the fact that these liars, these people in control of the system, I mean, they've known about this for more than 100 years, even though it's been around since time began. I think they're finally going to bring out the free energy, or somebody is. It may not be them, the people who want to control it. But it's all been realised now, okay? And the flat earth system, the energy is created between the tropics here. And the magnetic field does not come from the south all the way to the north, like they say on the ball. It doesn't come all the way around to the top. No, it stops either side of the tropics and drops straight down to the ground, to go through the ground and then over to its opposite pole. Opposite pole. When I say opposite pole, I mean this is the south pole on the Tropic of Capricorn, and to the north, because the north is the North Pole, the south is the North Pole as well, out here around the perimeter. So you got north, north, and then you have the south, south here. So the magnetic field comes out of the south, swings around, hits the Tropic of Capricorn, goes straight down into the ground, through the ground, and then pops up in its opposite pole. Same from this end, comes out of the north over to Cancer, drops straight down to the ground, through the ground, and pops up again out in Antarctica. We get the aurora borealises because of the magnetic field coming up out of the earth, hitting the electromagnetic atmosphere. Okay? So we have magnetism coming out off the earth, but we've got an electromagnetic atmosphere. Okay? And they sort of describe it in science with the electron and proton, whatever, and all that sort of garbage. But at the end of the day, it's the magnetic field coming off the earth, hitting the electromagnetic atmosphere, and it's all based on atmospheric conditions. Okay, so when you get the auroras up here in the north, you will have them down here at the south in the same time. Okay, because it is one. It is one. Hard to understand, but that and that are the same. Okay, but this is more widely dispersed, obviously. All the energy's back in here, so this is a strong force, weak force. To the two north poles, and then you go to the south poles here, there's a strong force, that's a weak force. So you always get your compass pointing directly from there to there, in between. There's no curving magnetic field between the tropics, okay? But out here, you'll get your magnet pointing there to there as well, compass, sorry. But you'll be following a curved path like this if you're following a compass setting, because the magnetic field of Earth is curved. Okay, same with the north. Understanding this curve is basically understanding magnetism and the toroidal field, or the magnetic field that comes off, the flux that comes off magnetism. Because it's due to the fact that it all goes to a central point and spins around and then comes back out. Like in a ring magnet, the field comes over, it'll head towards the centre north, spin and then come out over. There's an in and an out. That's all it is. An in and out is a north and a south pole. And this is what we get up in the centre north vortex. Outside of our realm, we all dwell in here. This is very minute. Hard to get to there. Can't even find it probably. Well, they will if they fly in. They try to fly in here. They're going to hit something here and fall to the ground. Just like they did out here back in the 50s. You know, like I mentioned in the earlier video, 13,000 feet. They hit the dome. You come back in a bit further, you can fly over Mount Everest, which is 13,000 feet. So they hit the dome they found the dome at 13,000 feet at 85 degrees south. But back at about 76 or whatever it is, 74, you've got Mount Everest and you can fly over it. So here's the S-curve of creation. They know all about it because that's where the old Superman story comes from this. Okay? So the lying Freemasons, they control the world, and their slaves are all the ignorant people who just believe them and don't seek the truth and discover all this. So we need to understand the sun more. Some people aren't understanding it. Understanding why there's two suns, one in each hemisphere. But in saying that, the sun is in many places, but only seen in one. Man's personal arc of horizon. That's the focal point. His two eyes and his brain see this one image of a sun, okay? There's only one sun in his arc of horizon. And he always, that's his personal arc of horizon. He is always zenith, 90 degrees to zenith. Okay? Wherever he moves, his arc moves with him. All the celestial bodies are all on here. Because man is looking out from the centre of his universe. You can take him back to the centre of creation. That's how he sees all his celestial bodies. They're all crossing over his arc of horizon. A nice 180 degree perspective of the universe. Okay? So, instead of seeing around him like this, although his horizon goes out around him like this, let's not go too deep. Okay, just ignore that. I'll explain that in other videos. You'll find most of this in depth on my Patreon. If you're too tight, you can't afford $3.50 American a month, then you're never going to find the truth. It's over there. So he's always 90 degrees, so this is how celestial navigation came about. Get this reading, but they want to know this reading, which work it out, 60 nautical miles, blah blah blah. That gives you a reading to the GP point of that star. So you are somewhere around that star using this remainder. But let's not go into celestial navigation at the minute. Back to the sun. Well, we have two suns. It's a mirrored and it's a split cell. Earth is a dual system, a split cell, or like the human brain, of two halves. A left and a right, a male and a female, a weak force, a strong force, dark, night, day, whatever. So we have the sun coming out of the north, coming around. You see it coming from the east and then going around to the west, right? You don't see it coming out of the north all the way around. You only see it coming from the east, halfway here, going across half of your day. East to west sort of thing, because it's basically spiralling back into the north. It does a cardinoid over 24 hours, that is. We only see half the cycle of time, which is the S. Okay? Realise this S is the golden ratio. If you look down that way, see? down that way, it's the golden ratio. So when it completes the cycle, it's gone right round and does a cardinoid. Cardinoid. All comes from the centre of creation. This S-curve inside the vortex is dictating the curvature of our celestial motions. Okay? So it's all mirrored from the north. We get the cycle around here. So the cycle of stars is basically doing this. But you can't really tell, but if you're looking down or you're looking up, well, the northern hemisphere stars are projected straight up out of the vortex, out of the central vortex. Okay? Should look like that. But when it's reflected, parabolically mirrored to the south, we see it inverted. It's backwards and expanded out here. A perfect example is understanding Polaris, that does a circle around the black hole, because Polaris is the sun that does a circle around the black hole, is a 3-star system, if you zoom right in. Well, you come out to the south, and let's say, you know, sigma octant anywhere, it's anywhere around the south because it's mirrored from the centre. Polaris Australis, the 3 stars are separated. Okay? So you could say, let's blow it up, but you'll have, say you'll have the black hole, then you'll have A star there, and then you'll have A star here, maybe one out there. So there's the black hole, which is way back at the centre of creation, down the gurgler here. You've got the sun right on its horizon, going around its horizon. That's your 24-hour day. Turns in here, turns the whole system, the whole magnetic field system. So that's turning. Then you've got Venus and Mercury out here. So it's a 3-star system out here. But it's dispersed, so it doesn't look like Polaris, because Polaris it's way smaller. It's, you know, they're close together. It makes it look like 1 star. But this shows you the expansion, if you can find the right 3 stars. And science tells you the sun is just a star, and they tell you it's the closest star to Earth. Well, why would that be? Because the black hole down the gurgler here, you've got to understand Earth is from the hole. And if the sun is right on the horizon of the black hole, moving around it, then they're going to tell you it's the closest to Earth, because they know the whole flat Earth system. They've known it forever. It's all just bullshitting the public. It's just a matter of controlling the minds and controlling all the dollars. Okay? So, back to the sun again. What does it say? They could not map the southern hemisphere due to its expansion, relative only to the observer. Relative only to the observer's zenith within his personal arc of horizon. Okay? Well, this is why we have zenith cameras. They all want to know where you are exactly, because everything is based on this arc of your perspective. They want to know where you are on the flat earth. They've got to know this point. Okay? Then they give you all the details, because they know all the GP points of the stars through zenith cameras and spectroscopy. Okay, so as the sun comes around out of the north, swings around like this, over your midday, out west, disappears, loops back around there on the other side of the 24-hour day, you don't see. As it's coming out of the north, this comes out of the south. It's mirrored. Okay? And we see it turn up from the west, east, but during the summer in the southern hemisphere, it comes, we can tell it's more over here, southeast. Comes across and it spins right back around here and loops back in there. So we see it arrive here and disappear here. It gives you more of the picture in the southern hemisphere summer, as opposed to winter turning up here and there. Well, look, it's come back here. It's showing you more of the obvious picture. I know how it all works. It all makes sense. Okay, so what you do is you've got your, let's rub all that off. There's your smaller centre northern hemisphere, because everything's expanding out within the toroidal field. Let's go one loop to there. Okay. Well, you get a flat earth map, and for an example, you'll find it comes out like, let's try and draw it like that, it comes out like that on a Gleason map. Well, this point here where this magnetic field meets here, and this one meets here, for an example is Taiwan, up there just off China, in the northern hemisphere, and down here, you can go to Newman, Western Australia, in the southern hemisphere. Exact same time. Okay? This time is exactly the same as that time. Okay? Because the mirrored effect. It's not just one sun. Well, you got the one main sun. There's the one unseen plasma sun. No man can see, because pure plasma is invisible. When you see the sun, we're led to believe that the one and only sun is out here in the tropics, right? Between there and there. That can be explained in another story. There's a trinity to everything. Okay? I'm just giving you the other one. I'm giving you the other one of them. Understanding how the sun swings around like that. And like that, mirrored. Okay? Then you have the divine bow. Okay? The ancients knew about. There's your bow. This alignment here. This alignment here, and this is the Middle Kingdom. They call the Middle Kingdom. This is the Second Kingdom. What do they call it? Not second. The Second Kingdom. New Kingdom. New Kingdom, I think. New Kingdom? And the Old Kingdom? No, I can't think of it a minute. But anyway, that is the Old Kingdom in there, because the original state. Everything came from singularity, then became a dual system. Split cell, tropical gap, became the new. And all of religion's about this new, the Jesus story, the New Testament, isn't it? Old Testament, New Testament. Old Testament's referring to spiritual enlightenment, going back to singularity, all involves singularity. The New Kingdom's about, well, that's connected to it as well. That's of the dual system that we're all at here now, finding your way back to singularity. That's going deep though. But anyway, understanding the sun. The two suns. Well, we have two systems. Okay, I've shown it there, it's mirrored. The sun in December is all the way around. It's completely illuminated. Okay? And then the system starts wandering back up north. The sun starts moving back up this way, but we understand it all moving within the ecliptic plane there. Okay? And, once you're starting to understand that, or understanding that, takes you back to this, declination and the seasonal changes in that, which is Christ walking on water, okay? Because the sun is coming up or going down in different positions in the east and the west. The sun walking on water, the Christ walking on water. And that's why they have Christ or God walking on the mountain or the dome or up high or whatever, because the sun is made up of the entire light spectrum. Okay, it's all the inert gases make up the pure white light. You've got to see through all the light spectrum to get the pure white light. And then the moon's down here opposite. It's got no light. It's the negative. The sun's that side, the moon is this side. Okay? Some of you might have seen that video of that young guy on TikTok where he's describing things and then they said he went missing after that. I don't know. But anyway, he mentions the fact that we can't perceive things if they're expanding as they move away and shrinking as they're coming forward. You don't know what they're doing, do you? There's a trick in magnetism. Oh, I can't relate that to anything specifically at the minute, but you can understand the fact, well, you have to understand the fact, moving south, everything expands. Everything. The trees, mountains, whatever, and you're expanding with it. So it's all relative to the observer. He's not to know that this guy back here is a little midget. You're a giant. No. And then this takes us into understanding a bit more about magnetism. Understanding the 2D plane up top here where the sun always sits, 2D plane, and then it creates the 3D vortex below. The sun is always up top in the 2D plane. But when the system split, the sun illuminated, boom, everything was created, which created the magnetic field below. This is the negative, the moon. And the moon is actually the sun. And this once again is showing us the duality and singularity, because every month goes back to singularity, comes out full moon, goes back to singularity. And in science now they're talking about this, about how would they refer it to, negative, I can't remember, it was on one of those common science sites. How they reckon they're starting to understand it, but they've known it for 100 years. They know this system. They're just lying to you, just drip feeding you information all the time. But it's all explained on my Patreon if you're interested. But it's just understand the two sun systems. Can I expand on this? Not really. Not really. In the north, you'll notice that the sun turns up more northeast in the summer and sets more northwest in the summer, and then shrinks back, contracts and expansion. That goes back to my little model here. Contraction, expansion, and the southern field overlays or underlays the north. Contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion. This goes right back to the creation up here, where you have this, you could say this is the black hole and the sun's on the horizon. The sun moves around the horizon of the black hole like this. It's magnetically locked on here. You can't fall, nothing falls into the black hole. Everything goes down the sides here. Nothing goes into the black hole center. Okay? And this is the whole Jesus story. The baby, look at the baby, the fetal, the body and the head, the Christ, because that's the sun. Christ is the sun, right? There's the baby, and a particular time of the year, which is all on my Patreon, describes the whole religious story, how it all comes about, what it actually means. It's mind-blowing. But people can't afford a minimum fee. Well, you'd probably have to go up to my Saints to get the full picture. That's 20 Kiwi a month, actually. But if you're really interested in finding the truth, you'd have to buy my Floodgates video. And it's discounted at the moment, 33% off, so look into that. That's all I can add at the moment, I think. Understanding this motion is the same motion as the stars, because they're all following the magnetic field. This is the magnetic field. Okay, the magnetic field of Earth. It's the toroidal field. It's all of the torus. But you've never been taught or shown that it's a split cell. It's split. It's separated. You just get shown one big toroidal field sort of like this, and all the energy flying around like this, or like this. Maybe the hyperboloid centre. But nobody talks about the split. Okay? There's only one guy in the world that's exposing all this. You might know him by now. But there you have it. We realise Earth is the southern hemisphere is the rotor. Northern hemisphere the stator. How do you think they came up with all this stuff? They knew the Earth was flat. They knew how it all worked. Tesla knew how it worked. It goes back to capacitance. The capacitor plate there and there. Understanding the distance between the plates. The maybe copper windings. The ratio. All that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you like this sort of thing, don't forget to put the old thumbs up. You got to share this, guys. There's a lot of bullshit flat earth stuff going out there. You know, there is 24-hour sun. I've described it all, how it all works. Don't ignore it. You know, time to grow up. Yeah, wake this thing up, okay? Spread the good news. Learn it properly so you can argue with any brain dead zombie who believes these guys here and thinks they live on a spinning ball flying through La La Land. Okay, here's another point here. What has the shape of the little Earth got to do with the shape of the sky over a ball? I mentioned this in the first video. Nothing. Isn't make-believe space a vast expansion? Okay? But that's their model. You can't get into space. There is no space. All we can do is get above the light spectrum. Did I rub that out? We just get above the light spectrum. You see darkness because you stepped over the light spectrum. Okay? But we can only go so far. Probably only 100, not even 150,000 feet, I don't think. So, you know, man's arc of horizon, that's, they say, you know, it's only 5k out. 5k out. But, you know, rise up, your arc's going to expand the higher you go. But you can never gain on a celestial body that's on this arc of horizon, wherever it may be. Because you're always 90 degrees to zenith. As you move, so too does the celestial body. The sun. You can never get in a plane and, you know, get any closer than a certain distance, 5k, to the sun or the moon or a star. But when you're flying in an aeroplane, you can look out the window and aim for a star, and then the star just disappears. Because they're just holographic images. Everything's holographic. All projected from here. They're just pictures in the moisture atmosphere. All coming from the dead centre. Okay? To truly understand all this stuff, you need to have a camera and know, you know, do celestial navigation, you know, night photography, time lapse and star trailing and all that. How you get the motions of the sky, and you know, and start looking at the stars and inverting them, like your northern stars. Suss out a few stars, then flip it over and reverse it and compare it with what's in the south. So, like I said, you know, the old, how do you draw it? The Big Dipper. You got the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, haven't you? Well, if you look in the southern hemisphere, you've got the crux, which is, there's your star there. I mean, it's sort of like that. And whether that's the pointers up there or they're over somewhere else, I'm not sure, can't remember. What was I going to say? There's the crux. Yeah, you've got the crux, and then you have the false cross, what they call a false cross. That's just off to the side of it.